about 3 or 4 blocks, and this like pitch dark. Of course, this is the night when none of the street lights are turned on or timed for us. So it's like really, really dark where I'm hearing this stuff coming from. And I distinctly hear a man whistle.
Welcome to Speculative Sandbox, your audio playground for creative storytellers. My name is Vicky Lawn, and each episode, I and a guest will unpack a fiction trope with an eye for character development and narrative structures. Make sure to look for Speculative Sandbox on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, where you can join the conversation. Leave comments or questions, or let us know what other tropes we should cover. When the real world just doesn't cut it, let's get lost in a fictional one. Welcome to the Halloween edition of Speculative Sandbox. We have a couple cool things planned for you today. First of all, this episode comes with video. You can check it out on our video supporting platforms like Spotify and YouTube. Secondly, horror author Bibiana Krall returns to talk about Halloween traditions and tales. And finally, and why I thought video would be so important, Bibiana reads my tea leaves and discovers something very interesting about my future. All right. So I'm really excited about this episode because it's a little different. This is going to be the first time we are doing video along with audio, and Bibiana Krall returns to the podcast to take us on a little bit of a spiritual journey today. So Bibiana, thank you so much for coming back.
Thank you so much for having me, Vicky. Can you see me right now?
Yes.
Okay, because there's some weird thing on my screen and I can't see you.
Oh, is the spiritual involvement getting up already?
Maybe. I don't know. Weird. Yeah, it's totally blocking you out. But anyway, I can see myself. As long as we're good, we're good. So,
did you see me before we started?
Yeah, I did. That's what's so weird. Okay, I'm just, I asked my ancestors to come today, and apparently they're here. So
okay, they don't want you to see me.
Yes.
Okay, so Bibiana, for those that haven't perhaps listened to the ghost story episode yet, and our damsel in distress episode doesn't come out for another couple of weeks, so can you please introduce yourself to those who are just now getting to know you?
Well, my name is Bibiana Krall, and I write a lot of different kinds of fiction, but primarily I write speculative fiction, and I tend to have I end up with a lot of paranormal or supernatural themes in things, mainly because of the fact that I'm a very curious human, and people come to me and tell me stories, or I experience things, and I want to find out more about them, and I usually explore that in my writing.
When the last time we talked in the spring, you talked about a ghost encounter that you frequently had. Can you revisit that a little, just to summarize for those again that haven't heard that episode?
Oh, you mean which ghost? I'm trying to remember which ghost it was.
There was the one that you would come down and there's like a door, like noises through the door.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. I had a problem with sleepwalking when I was 7 or 8 years old. I mean, like to the point where I was falling asleep in weird places, like waking up in weird places. And one night I remember, that I was sleepwalking, and well, I didn't realize I was sleepwalking, and I woke up on the kitchen table, which sounds weird, but this kitchen table was very big because I have 7 siblings. So it's like, a huge farm table kind of thing. But anyway, I woke up and I heard scratching on the door that went down to the basement. And there had been many other instances of not feeling comfortable down there. But anyway, it woke me up. And I remember standing on the kitchen side of it, feeling like whatever it was that was on the other side of it, knew I was there. It woke me up on purpose. And that if I opened the door, it would come in. And I don't know what I thought it would do. I just knew that it was really bad and I shouldn't open the door. but I was very tempted to look up through the louvers and to just see if I could see something. But honest to God, I think if I would have seen something, I probably would have had a heart attack. And I was a very healthy 7-year-old. So, but needless to say, I took off running because I was convinced that this thing was just going to like turn into smoke and sift through the louvers or something. And I would be toast. And that's not what happened. Obviously, I'm here, but it was just so terrifying and so scary that I don't think I remember sleepwalking anymore. I think it actually broke out my sleepwalking. Like I stopped doing it after
Oh, okay. I've had weird sleepwalking episodes too throughout my life. And one thing that my husband will tell me is in college, he woke up to me pulling and tugging on the sheets and putting a pillow on his face. And so
that.
he removed the pillow and then I just took it and put it back on his face. And he's like, and the thing is, I've woken up myself several times making the bed. So
Right,
I'm telling myself that's what I was doing, putting the pillow where it should go on the bed with little regard to who's in the bed. But I like freaked out when he told me that story. And then there was another time when he I woke him up apparently. He was dead asleep and I tapped him like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And he turns, he's like, what? And then I sat up out of bed and I went, and I pointed across the room into a corner and he turns and he like felt like he had a heart attack. And he's like, what is she seeing? There was nothing there.
right.
He turned around and I had leaned back down and gone back to sleep.
Like he must have just been like, I can't. What? You
Yeah.
just scared me awake, and now you're asleep.
Yeah, I felt really bad for doing that because as he was telling me the story, I got really scared because I was like, maybe I saw something. Maybe sleeping Vicky saw a spirit or ghost somewhere and reacted. And I don't know.
You clearly saw something.
Yeah. So for Halloween this year, we thought it'd be fun to get together and kind of, talk about the craft of writing horror books as well, as you with you as the expertise, but also just sharing some spooky stories. So you had emailed me a photo that inspired you on a story called that you call The Whistle Man. So do you want to get us started with that?
Sure, sure. I live in Savannah, Georgia, and here the house is, an old house is basically a house that's 100 years or older, and a lot of them are older than that. But behind all of the houses, there are these alleyways that used to be basically the carriage road. So it's the carriage road because the carriage houses are behind the houses. So anyway, one night, this was about 6 or 7 months into the pandemic. My husband, I don't remember, he traveled somewhere, and I woke up really early in the morning and went outside, and I was on the side porch, and in the darkness, this is a very quiet neighborhood, very old established neighborhood. Um, in the darkness, I heard feral cats, and I was like, ugh, geez, I wonder, if something's going on or whatever. And I realized it was just cats, and I was like, no big deal. I went in and got myself a cup of coffee and came back out and sat on the swing. And then about 3 or 4 blocks, and this like pitch dark. Of course, this is the night when none of the street lights are turned on or timed for us. So it's like really, really dark where I'm hearing this stuff coming from. And I distinctly hear a man whistle. I mean, like whistle, like, kind of whistle. And I was like, it was 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, you know? And I was like, this is weird. So I was, you know, on edge. Then I hear the cats again, but it's coming closer now. This band of wild cats. And then I hear the whistle again. And I realized, like, I've got bad ears, but I realized I started kind of counting, how far it was. And I realized that initially when I heard the cats and initially when I heard the whistle, They were at the cemetery that's pretty close to the house. And I was like, okay, I'm freaking myself out, right? So I hear it one more time. And I mean, it's really close now, like less than a block. And one of the streetlights is on. And so I'm like, I'm going to see it. I'm going to see who this weirdo is, right? It's whistling with all these cats. Well, I waited and, I didn't have the porch light on or whatever. I made sure my phone wasn't on. I was like, I went into like ninja mode and nothing, just silence, right? And I'm like, okay, so he just disappeared. I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I'm gonna go in the house and write and shake this off. And about a week later, something woke me up. I don't remember what it was. And I had forgotten, about this weird thing. Maybe I just blanked it. I don't know. But anyway, I heard the feral cats again. And I got totally freaked out. And then I heard the whistle. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, what is happening? And all I remember seeing before literally I went in the house and just like locked all the doors and was getting ready to wake up my husband and call 911 and everything else, was just a silhouette. And this person was wearing like a really kind of weird looking suit, like a suit that you might put on like a preacher in the 1940s, like in a movie, like Where for Art Thou Brother kind of thing. And with a kind of a tall hat on. And then I saw a whole bunch of cats and they kind of like shot forward, under the streetlight. And I was like, I am out of here because I don't know if the whistle man is a ghost or a real person or whatever. But honestly, I think it is a ghost. And I think the cats know this ghost and like they go around with him while he haunts. I mean, I can't figure it out, but I honestly think if I would have stayed on my porch, I think I would have met the whistle man and I was not prepared to do that. So
Wow.
that's
So
where we're at.
what state are you in again where this happened?
Georgia, Savannah, Georgia.
I feel like there's so much richness and lore in places based on, like with the histories. Are there any local legends that could have informed this experience?
Not that I've ever heard of. I mean, I've heard so many stories from people, lots of different things. I mean, the city is, I mean, literally there's like a ghost, every dewdrop probably has a ghost in it around here. But directly where the whistle man was coming from, I do know that 2 blocks away, because this was about 3 blocks, 3.5 blocks total. But like when you're freaking out or you hear something scary, like it might as well be right on top of you, right? But there's this gigantic house that I do know during the Civil War was kind of taken over by the Northern Army and used as a field hospital. And a lot of people have told me that when they spend the night in that house, or sometimes they rent this house because a very wealthy woman owns it who lives in Texas now. So it's this gigantic place. And she rents it sometimes to people like school teachers and stuff. But anyway, I've heard more than once that that place is like really haunted and weird things go on there. But not once has anybody ever said anything to me about feral cats and some creepy dude whistling in the middle of the night, walking around in the dark.
Ooh, interesting. Well, now I'm curious. Can you still not see me? Or can you see me now?
I can't see you. There's like a square thing over it that says, let's say I'll get up and I'll read it. It says something. It's like a warning or something. I don't know what it says. This meeting is being recorded by the host. Oh, got it. I had to touch the button. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. I'm fine.
Now we can see each other. That's perfect.
I know. I was like, this sucks. I want to be able to see your tea leaves.
Well,
yeah, this is much better.
So what are you drinking right now?
Right now, I am drinking like really, really good green tea. I don't know if you can I don't know if I can tilt it or not. Can you see it?
Maybe I can definitely. Yep, yep, I see it.
So I'm drinking green tea with like superfruit in it. This is like super awesome tea that I use when I like really have a stressful day. This is like bubble bath tea. Like if you get one more phone call, you're just gonna like, you know, move to Mexico and buy a hammock. Like this kind of tea.
Nice. And what's on the cup?
These are, I'm not sure what kind of flowers these are, but this is like a old, like a Noritake set. So it's kind of like a vintage set. I actually found this at the thrift store as the only old teacup that I have is a Balik and it was my husband's mom's. And the saucer went missing. So all I have is just like this beautiful little Balik teacup, but I don't have a saucer. So
Oh, okay. So I forgot to kind of cover this actually to our listeners. So we are doing video, and if you aren't currently listening to us on a platform that supports video, I believe Spotify and YouTube can be where you go to see us on video for the first time. And Bibiana, since for those that may not be able to see you, can you describe your look that you're going with right now? We're both in costume.
well, my one of my children had a very interesting description of it, but basically I look like in a lot of ways like a mazurka doll. Like
Okay.
my grandmother was Polish, and it's like black lace sort of sticking up from these weird like honey colored lace long sleeves, and then it's a Day of the Dead fabric, which is bizarro. Like so, and it's neat, but I mean, I've never seen it before. And then it's got these weird, like, little red pom poms sewn all over it. It's the craziest dress I've ever owned, for sure.
I love it. And I've gotten a patterned shirt, kind of polka dotty, and I was originally going to be a witch and it didn't fit my head. I think I had a kid's hat. So I grabbed my daughter's unicorn horn and ears instead. But it works. It works. So with your Polish heritage, are there any traditions, like spooky traditions that you know of or follow?
Well, actually, I think that, um, you mean Halloween wise? For
Sure, we
Halloween?
can, yeah, if that narrows it down. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for Halloween, actually, I think divination, like palmistry, and sometimes I have had people tell me that if you take a piece of silver and you throw it in the bottom of a lake and you're able to dive in and find it like the first time or whatever, that you'll have an easy winter. And I don't know where that comes from. I mean, like who's throwing the only silver you have in a lake, then diving in like, and it's almost wintertime. Are you crazy?
I bet that is explained by you're able to find it, assuming the lake hasn't iced over. And if the lake hasn't iced over yet, then your winter's not going to be so cold.
Right. I guess if it's iced over, then you have to go out and get the axe. So you have to like really be into this, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. Um, Ghost lore. I don't remember if I've talked about the ghost lore from like China, Vietnam with you last time we met. Did I talk to you about hungry ghosts?
I think you said something about Hungry Ghost, but I'd like to hear about it more. I mean, it's a spooky name.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. You have and I got really into this because I did a lot of community-wide event planning over the last decade. And so I really love community-wide events that honor like a cultural thing. And um, in the Tucson area, we have Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead, and it's very popular down here. And so it was really fun for me to research into my ethnicity and heritage that there's something similar called the Ghost Festival, the Hungry Ghost Festival in some places. And it's a chance for everyone to come together and honor their loved ones, their ancestors that have passed on. There's this really cool ritual where they burn joss paper. And in many cases, it's paper that looks like money. So it's their hell notes. And you burn those, and it's supposed to give good fortune to your ghost ancestors. Some cases they have stores there, vendors that will sell paper products that look like your favorite things like an Xbox or a soccer ball, and you buy those that your loved ones were really into when they were alive, and you burn those in honor of them. So there's that. So that's the ceremonial part. They have rituals, they have food altars, because the idea is during ghost month the gates to hell have opened, and so these ghosts have crossed over and they're hungry. So you want to feed your loved ones and you want to appease the angry ghosts. If you feed them, they won't eat you, is the idea. And the hungry ghost, in and of itself, is this particularly vicious kind of ghost that could have been a terrible person when it was alive. And it goes around constantly like starving. And that's kind of, you want to ward those evil spirits away from you. So there's practices like don't go out in the water after dark, don't go out after dark, don't, like all these little practices that you can do to keep the ghosts away from you. And when you go to the ceremony, like these wide community events, the front row is always open because they're reserved for the ghost visitors. So you can't sit in those seats. It's just really cool when you think about like this huge communal belief system. And it's a great way. At the end, there's a lantern festival, and you're kind of like, all right, ghosts, thanks for visiting. Go back to the afterlife and farewell. So I think it's really good for closure, just all around family oriented idea.
What's really interesting is I just heard about this a few weeks ago. In the UK, there's something called soul cakes. And this is something during Samhain, Halloween, basically, that people traditionally bake these soul cakes and they leave them outside so that the wandering spirits will have something to eat and not come inside and torment the living. And I was like,
Whoa.
so this hungry ghost in the soul cake thing, I mean, maybe, I don't know. It's so interesting that cultures super far away from each other that didn't have TV or internet have sometimes these really sort of similar traditions when it comes to things like ghosts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the idea that I think we're all expecting ourselves to be hungry after we die. So we might as well make sure it's a good experience. All right. I have a spooky story that is only spooky. Oh my god. There's a spider on me.
A spider?
Yes, there was a big old spider crawling on me. Give me a minute to recover.
Did you pay him?
I maybe I think we're in the right. Oh, maybe I don't want to do a Halloween themed thing again. Okay. This is a scary story in that I can't say, I can't really say it ghosted it, but it was very strange. I would call it's in the realm of Black Mirror, the Netflix show. Okay, so when I was very young, when I was in middle school, I had a cell phone. It was one of the earlier cell phones. We're talking before the Nokia bricks came out. It was like a very early flip thing that I had. And I was at the pool, and I was just all by myself at the pool hanging out, and my phone said, "You've got a voice message alert." At no point did I actually get a phone call. I just automatically got a voice message. I'm like, okay. So I listen, and it's nothing but background sound, except I'm hearing the water in the pool, like the gentle pool splash kind of wave. And I'm like, huh, like that's weird. So then I
You
just
mean the same thing you're hearing from your other ear?
yeah, like it was like I recognized the pool ambiance that I was at. So I was like,
Oh,
okay. So I just thought, never, okay, whatever. Deleted it. When like finished, I think at the pool, went home, and then like a month or so later, I was in my living room all by myself. This is when I was like babysitting or something. My parents weren't home, and I was watching Family Matters. Sometime I'm dating myself. I was watching Family Matters after school. My phone alerted me again, and I had a voice message, and I was like, that's interesting. Nobody like called. There was no missed calls, nothing. And like and like I said, this is like early 2000s. I listened to the voice message, and it's background noise again. And then I hear the Family Matters show from like 10 minutes earlier. And I think I freaked out. Like I'm like, who and what is happening? Like there's no records. It didn't show that any my brother was the only one else that was in the house, but he doesn't have a phone. He was like in elementary school at the time, and it was in the room I was in. He wasn't there. He was like playing video games in his room. So I think those are the two ones that I absolutely weird circumstances with a phone that I can remember, but it stuck with me because I don't know if my phone recorded me and then sent it to me very kindly as a voice message, or someone is messing with me. Like, I don't know how that could have happened. Do you have thoughts?
Maybe you're a time traveler.
Maybe.
I don't know. That is the first time. I mean, could have been some weird anomaly or something, but I remember those phones you're talking about. They're like what I would consider almost analog. They could do the cellular stuff, but
Hmm.
they're nothing like the little computers, that we
Yeah.
have now. But um, the second time it happening, though, that the first time could have just been fluke, weird, whatever, whatever, whatever. But the second time, and it means something that whatever it is on this message is giving you the audio proximity. So it's telling you whatever it is, if it's you in the future or the past, or if it's a ghost or whatever, it's telling you, hi, I'm right next to you,
Mm.
which is slightly terrifying after the second time. Has it ever happened again?
It only happened with that phone. I've never had a circumstance like that again that I could think of.
Hi. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that more. I mean, seriously, because the audio, the way the audio like was operating and basically letting you know literally that whatever is going on is right with you physically right now in this present is feels kind of like a threat to me. It feels like a threat.
Yeah, I think my big emotional takeaway was someone wants me to know that they're listening, and to
Yeah.
what end? Like, why would they want me to know that? Because I thought it was odd. Like, this is early phones, and I'd be impressed if this was a phone that had. I couldn't even figure out how to record off of that thing. So I don't know if it was like the mouthpiece was recording or I don't
They didn't
know.
even have Bluetooth yet, did they?
No, oh no, no, no.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
This is before they had the game Snake on on phones.
Right. So it's practically like this kind of phone at your grandma's where you're like, how do I do this?
Yep.
But yeah, that I the first time, like I said, it could have been some sort of weird accident, or there could have been two or three buttons smashed down at the same time and it activated some kind of thing or whatever. But the second time,
Hmm.
I don't really believe in coincidences, and that feels very very present because it's and the fact that it was 10 minutes before, like why 10 minutes before, not right now, whereas the first one was right now and the other one was 10 minutes before. So I mean, like, to me that would like be like, time travel or movement through a space, like stopping time, like wormhole kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. That is trippy.
It's so funny because the more I talk to you, the more I remember weird things from my life. Because when we first met, I'm like, I have nothing weird happening with me. And then I remembered halfway through seeing dogs that weren't there and the weirdness with my camera in college.
Well, maybe I could start like basically your paranormal past life strangeness. I'll just like set up my shingle. I'm not going to wear this dress every time, though. I just can't promise that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Um, I wanted to show you guys some kind of neat things that I sometimes use when I'm talking about ghosts or scary things because I want to have happy things around me. This little glass globe was my grandmother's, and this is an ancient fossil. I have this fabulous little box that has lots of little doodads in it, including a piece of the cliffs of mohair that tried to take out my chin. serious. This is, in my opinion, this is Yorick's skull.
Okay.
And last but not least are crystal and a ceramic doorknob. And I consider doorknobs in this house, because these are original to this house, it was built in 1923. I consider doorknobs access to doorways, and doorways real or doorways imagined or doorways spiritual.
Okay.
So
Does a doorknob always have to be physical? Can there be like symbolic doorknobs?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, like, when you're dealing in a realm that's not physical, everything can be even envisioned or imagined. Like with the whistle man, if he would have shown up, I could have potentially, on a spiritual realm, if he was a ghost, I could literally have drawn a door in the darkness, waited for him to come, and opened the door and closed it, and potentially dispatched him to where he was supposed to be, not going down an alley scaring the heck out of me at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Would you consider yourself a witch or like a witch enthusiast or just hyper knowledge, hyper aware, sensitive?
Um, yeah, I'm really not. I don't actually practice witchcraft. I think I'm more of just somebody who's like really sensitive to a lot of different things, and I've studied a lot of different religions. I have studied witchcraft, but I actually found that it was very rigid. Like it had all there were these rules or supposed rules in certain areas. And so for me, what I am is I'm more of a spiritual person, and I'm very sensitive to energy.
Okay. What is your favorite, would you say, ritual or tradition when it comes to like spirituality or making connections with the afterlife or
Um,
anything like that?
I think probably really the best way to really connect with things is one of my favorite smells in the world is petrichor, which is the earth after the rain. And it's a mixture of precipitation and warm earth, and it gives off this fantastic, um just really clean and fresh smell. And it only comes after the ground is warm and the rain comes, and then like the ground kind of, have you ever seen the ground with grass steaming a little bit after a rain?
Yeah.
And that smell, that is like my favorite smell in the whole wide world. And sometimes when that happens, I will walk out barefoot in the grass, and I'll just like connect to it. And when you connect to it, you connect to everything, everything that's ever been alive, the whole planet, the ground, the air, even this scary whistle man. Put him over here.
Yeah, because we talked about last time the idea that I think you talked about quantum physics, where like it has to go somewhere. The
Yeah.
idea, yeah, the spirituality, and so the idea that these after you pass, that aspect of yourself is still present on the planet, and some people being more attuned to kind of sensing that than others. And the fact that we have so many cultures, like you were saying, around the world that seem collectively in tuned, and they have these great rituals and belief systems. So you and I are drinking tea. Do you have any knowledge of tea leaf reading?
Well, actually, I've been studying it. So, and coincidentally, the people who invented basically the aspect of fortune telling at Halloween were the Celts, who were the people who invented Halloween.
Okay.
So, so, but anyway, yes, I've been studying it, and there's two different levels to it. There's um, tassogeography, which is basically just the sort of symbolic reading of tea leaves, and that became popular in the 1700s. But people were doing it well before that, especially like in the Ottoman Empire, and I mean, like, so it's been around a long time. Um, but there's also something called tasseomancy. And tasseomancy, instead of just looking at a chart of symbols, uses your intuition. And if you have any powers of divination, or if your ancestors are around you, which I think a lot of people, if you really think about it, in a lot of ways, your ancestors are always kind of with you. They're with you in your body and they're with you in your children. But, if you think about them, they're kind of with you, right? So, but anyway, I'm hoping today that we will be able to use a little tasseomancy.
I about half of a cup left. And do I need to drain it completely? Do I need to kind of just have a little bit of water left?
What you want in the bottom is you want 1 teaspoon worth of water, of liquid.
Okay.
What you need to do
Okay.
is hold your cup, and you don't want to go crazy with your elbow because you can, like, stuff will fly out. Do 3 swishes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Do you have a napkin or something for your
No, no, but let me go get one.
Okay, what you want to do is put your little cloth on your right, and you're going to want to do it really quick. So, like, boom. And now what you have to do is leave it alone for about 2 minutes because you want it to settle. Don't like do anything to it. And then I'll show you what to do after that.
That chapter in Harry Potter suddenly makes so much more sense because I remember this scene.
I know, right? What's really interesting is that reading tea leaves is something that is something lots of different people have tried to do, but people also read the sediment from red wine in certain countries. In Turkey, they read coffee grounds. So it's sort of like, kind of with the ghost thing, where we have different beliefs about ghosts or whatever, but we believe in ghosts in lots of different cultures. And a lot of different cultures, when I was researching this, tea leaf reading per se tends to be more connected with places that had access to tea. So you go over to Turkey or you go to Pakistan or somewhere like that where they don't necessarily have as much tea, but they have tons of coffee. And then all of a sudden you have people doing divination with coffee grounds. So it's really interesting, really.
And is it the principle the same? It's just like how the sediment arranges after you've placed it?
Yeah, that's what's really interesting is the kind of cup that I have is basically like the perfect cup to do the reading. If you have the handle too high or you don't have that beautiful kind of like sort of gradual arch or whatever, like your tea leaves might end up just glopping out and like you won't get your beautiful decoration. But I'm going to show you when I turn this over, I'm going to show you what the different parts of the cup mean. Like if we were sitting in a session, you would be the sitter and I would be, basically the person doing the reading for you. So there's like a very clear relationship between the person who's asking a question about their future or just wants a general idea, and then the person who's like reading these things. And even in Victorian days, I thought it was really interesting that there were certain groups of people in England that would go door to door and offer to do tea leaf readings for like the lady of the manor.
Wow.
Like, excuse me, would you like your fortune read? Kind of busy right now. Can you come back in a half an hour? I mean, can you imagine?
That would be
Like,
really
no.
interesting.
Yeah, you got to go like right now.
That would be the times I've only seen fortune tellers are usually like at a street fair now. They're like on the side and
Right.
they'll read your they'll look at your palm. Different ways of doing it I've seen. And it's always so interesting, but I'm like nervous doing just this. You asked earlier if I wanted to do a general reading or a past, present, future. And the thought of me, like, the joke website stuff where it's like, depending on what video you see on TikTok first tells you how you're going to die. I'm like, nope, I don't need that in my head. Like I just like whether or not it's completely bogus. Just the idea in my head of like, well, what like 5 years from now, I'm gonna be like that TikTok video told me I would die this way, and they were right or they were wrong. It's just in mental health.
Do you really think if like, it's like what's that Final Destination? Like you see that javelin coming towards your car windshield, you're gonna be like, dude, I saw that on TikTok. I mean, like, really?
Yeah. So you and I both have candles going right now, right?
We do. We
Yes.
do.
I wanted to show mine in a safe manner because I couldn't like figure out how to put it in the screen. So I am burning memory number 8 from a local company called Cicada. They have amazing scents. I believe this is Cactus Blossom, and I am really enjoying my time chatting here with you, waiting for my tea leaves to kind of settle and enjoying the nice smell.
So I have a question for you. So
Mhm.
there's a million different ways to read tea leaves, and some people get really ruffled up about how it's done and
Okay.
who's doing it and all that sort of thing. But we're just having fun and imagining and being creative humans. But there are two ways that I found for you to call the spirits or call your ancestors to come give you a little bit of a clue about what's happening. And the technique that I really liked was you take your finger and you tap the bottom of the cup 3 times. One,
Okay.
two, three.
One finger.
Yep. One, two, three.
Okay.
Okay. So what you want to do is you want to kind of concentrate on just feeling calm and peaceful and all that kind of stuff. Because apparently, this information or your ability to read these symbols or shapes in the tea leaves has all to do with just being like in this really proper state of mind. But which hand of yours is dominant, left or right?
Left.
Okay. If your left is dominant, then you need to use your right hand. So you lift up the cup. I'm dominant right, so I'm using left. And you didn't want past, present, future. You wanted general, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for general, what you're going to do is you're going to go counterclockwise 3 times,
Counterclockwise.
right?
All right. 1, 2, 3. And if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you can see us doing all of this.
Okay. And now what you're going to do is you're going to just pull your cup up like you would do like a birthday cake.
Okay.
And I'll
Oh, it
show the
actually
camera.
stayed.
So this is what I've got going on. Wow, we did. It worked.
Did it
Okay.
work?
So So it's very important to have the handle towards your heart for now, but you're just kind of taking a look at
Okay.
the leaves. So what you want to do is you want to look at these leaves, and I'm reading this for you, by the way. I'm not reading myself. I'm reading you.
Okay.
Uh, so the beautiful thing about a white cup like this is that this right here is, we'll say it's your North Star, and you mentally take the top of the cup, and you cut it into 4, pieces. So this right here is the next 3 months. This right here is 3 to 6 months, 6 to 9. And then in the center of the cup itself, down below is like more dominant things going on, whereas the stuff on top is what's happening currently. So let's see if take a look and see if you see anything initially that looks like a shape that you recognize.
I am pretty sure that my entire cup looks like planet Earth. Like I see North America, South America, and Africa. See, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Wow.
Am I
Yeah,
supposed to still have some water? I have some water still. Should I try to just drain it?
yeah, just pour out just a little bit. Try not to adjust the
Okay,
tea leaf.
got it. I have a couple clingers on the
Yeah,
edges.
the clingers are really good. So I'm seeing one thing initially here for you, right here. I don't know if
Okay.
you can see it or not.
The little clinger.
right? The little dot, the little dash, the little dot.
Uh-huh.
What that means to me is that you need to slow down because you've been, I would have to say, at least from what I can divine from this, is you've been forgetting things, like forgetting to buy the milk you needed at the grocery store, to get gas before you get in traffic, that kind of stuff. So this is a caution, just a slight caution to slow down.
I have been forgetting to call my daughter's middle school of choice for a tour. I've been forgetting that one for like a month.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently this just means like sort of overstacked calendar. So yeah, like if you slow down a little bit, I think this would disappear.
Okay.
Another thing that I'm getting right here looks like a thunderbird.
Oh, okay.
So what a thunderbird means to me is, thunderbirds in 3 or 4 different Native American tribes. Thunderbirds are like super, super duper daddies, sky daddies. So what it means to me is that lately, something that you've done has made you feel really, really strong. And you're coming into some kind of personal power. I don't know
Ooh.
what it is. You don't have to say,
Okay.
but you can say if you want. But to me, the fact that you have this in I mean, like you're right now, means to me that whatever it is that was holding you back, whatever it is that was bothering you, has basically manifested your own Thunderbird, which means you're kicking some ass.
Ooh, I did just finally get out of a year-long writer's block. Yeah, like next
Very,
week I plan to go I have some writing sessions and I started working on some stuff. So maybe this is good luck. We'll see.
I, if you thought a Thunderbird wasn't good luck, I wouldn't even know what to say to you. Yeah, Thunderbird is like, that would be like finding Thor's hammer outside when you're trying to like chop wood. Wow. And I don't know what this is. I swear to God, this looks like Nessie.
Like the Loch Ness monster?
Yes. So, but the Thunderbird, though, if you look at where the Thunderbird is, the Thunderbird is going for Nessie. So my opinion of this is that the Thunderbird has manifested itself and it is destroying hidden fear.
Oh, I do feel like I have reached, when you feel like you've reached a new chapter in your life, I
Mhm.
do, or a new level in the video game. I do feel like I'm at that point in my life.
Yeah.
I've just been feeling generally pretty good about where things are going.
Well, a Thunderbird and the Loch Ness monster in the same cup is. I'm gonna buy this tea for the rest of my life.
Do I have to
It's,
do the same thing for you? Does this cup
no,
represent you? No. Okay.
no. If you want to, only if you want to, only
I
if you
mean, the
want to.
best I came away with was the entire planet Earth. So like, I don't know how much you want to rely on me.
See, I have another thing too. Let's see. I don't know if you can see it or not. You see this, and this.
Yeah. From here, it looks like shelved books. But that's because it's a distance for me.
Well, every single person is going to see something different,
Okay.
regardless of whether or not they've been doing this for 100 years or whatever. This, in a lot of ways, reading these symbols has to do with perspective, um, personal experience, all that kind of stuff. What I'm trying to do is tap into the intuition too. And I'm glad you didn't have a chance to talk too much, so I don't know what's going on with you. So it like gives me a possibility of like tapping into the intuition aspect. But what this is telling me here is that you, it's gonna sound crazy, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know that you've been planning a trip somewhere remote, an island or on the water or whatever, and for some reason I see you walking in the woods, and I
Do you want me to give you some information on that one? Or do you want me to
sure,
stay?
sure.
Okay. So I've been wanting to go visit my mom again up in Washington because we would go hiking every day in the woods. And that's the one thing in the short term range. I've been thinking so much about going back in the woods.
Gosh, I'm freaking myself out. Wow. Okay. Well, that's the whole present that
Well, and it's
I'm
funny too, because when you said you've been planning a trip, I'm like, I haven't because I haven't been able to go on vacation. I would love to, but I haven't. But then you said woods. And then I was like, oh, yeah, actually, it's my mom. I've been wanting to visit her in the woods.
yeah, that's like different than like going to Cancun with like your girlfriends drinking pina coladas or whatever.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Let me see what else you have here. Ah, and at the bottom, oh my gosh, I don't know if you can see it or not. You see this right here? Right in the middle.
I got muted. A T-Rex is what I see.
See, what I'm seeing is a bonsai. Like, look closer, look at the top.
A barn side? Is that what you said?
No, a bonsai, those little
Oh,
trees.
yeah.
So, what that means to me, especially with the other things that I've said, is that if you deal with the forgetfulness and you embrace this Thunderbird that has basically shown up to show you the way, and you do this other sort of mindful thing, that this is what you'll have, which is like peace, harmony, calm, balance.
I love that.
And that's your future
And
right
I,
there.
I I do believe that to be true. I think one of my biggest problems that plague me all the time is forgetfulness in general.
Well, lately I can tell just by looking at that thing that it's been like, I'm going to use Mark Twain's word, worser.
Yeah, especially as I've gotten older.
Yeah. But yeah, you actually have a bonsai in the future waiting for you if you deal with this other stuff.
Okay, I'll make it a goal then.
Wow.
Basically to simplify my calendar, which I don't mind doing, so that I'm not forgetting as much, and
I
then
don't need,
go
yeah.
go visit my mom in the woods.
Yeah, I think you definitely need to go there. But if if you go do that or whatever, you should really look in the clouds and watch for this Thunderbird because I think you'll see it.
That's so cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for showing me my tea leaves. Should I'm guessing this is just what do you
I think
see?
I think they're oh wow. Well, I see a lion in the middle,
Okay.
right on the bottom, and maybe, and at least for me, what the lion means is that my Kilimanjaro trip is going to be back in place, and I'm going to get to go hiking, which is
Yay.
yeah, I was supposed to do it in June and it got canceled, and we were talking about planning it again for next June, and we haven't done it yet, but I mean, there's a lot of lions all around Kilimanjaro,
That's
and
so cool.
so maybe that's what that means. Maybe that's like the universe telling me that we should do it. That we should stop being silly or whatever. You get to a point where you're old and you can't make it up one of the world's tallest mountains. So it's kind of time to do it or not do it.
Yeah, agreed. All right. So to close us out, Bibiana, you're a writer. Do you want to give us some of your recommendations of maybe what were some spooky Bibiana tales that we should be looking into doing this month?
Oh, I was hoping you'd ask me. I actually have my brand new release, Wicked Mist. Just got the books.
It looks
And
beautiful.
thank you. Like, look at the I mean, look at this interior. It's such a gorgeous book.
Oh, wow. And where can people get it?
They can basically get it anywhere. It's all over the planet. The paperback is right now only on Amazon, and but ebook you can get it. Kobo, Apple Books, just all over the planet. But we've been getting some really amazing feedback, and it's just short stories. And the short stories are really terrific because they all have a common theme every year. This is our third year. Um, Veronica Klein Barton and I write this series together, and we started it during the pandemic so that we wouldn't lose our marbles because everybody
Yeah.
stopped writing, everybody stopped being creative, at least a majority of people that we knew. And we were like, we don't want to stop writing, we don't want to stop being creative, but we are, we're having a really hard time, like everybody else was. And we started doing this. And Veronica lives in California, and I live in Georgia. So we were literally coordinating, over the phone or just via text message or whatever. And, you know, this series has won awards 2 years in a row. And we're hoping that we'll win some more this year. So, Wicked Mist.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Bibiana. Any final words or messages to our listeners as they get ready for the Halloween day or evening?
I would say, if you want to try the tea leaf reading, if you want to try to do this, watch some YouTube videos, read some books about it or whatever. But this morning, really early this morning, I actually asked my ancestors to be with me, to help me. And I kind of feel like my ancestors were here. So if you guys decide you want to try to do this, you don't have to put it on YouTube or tape it like we did. But I really think that your ancestors are very much part of your past, present, and future. And so if you ask them to help you, guide you, maybe you'll feel a little less lost.
Speculative Sandbox is a volunteer-run podcast that relies on the collaboration of fellow creators like you. Join the conversation and participate in fun polls and questionnaires on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Interested in being in a future episode? Our DMs are open, or you can email speculativesandbox@gmail.com.